Salutations. I wanted to talk about similarities in contact experiences with an individual, two individuals I never met. All right. One would be George Adamski, and the other would be the late Dr. Delbert Blair. So what I want to do is start off with these similarities. Starting with the Adamski contact experiences. All right. For one, I was always I resonated somewhat with the George Adamski contact experiences because he had dealt with a ship. The ships that he had supposedly had photographs of looked similar to the ones that I saw in childhood and in my first adult onset experience that involved missing time. And this is one of those ships that was, you just saw a picture of it, actually. It has the balls underneath it, which is like the morphing organic UFO that I actually was aboard. But anyway, the fact that it has these gyro balls on the bottom of it, that always attracted me somewhat to the Adamski contacts. Now, there's something else about that for those that actually follow what I've talked about and how my experiences have gone, I had to eat some crow considering the Nordic beings, the fact that I'd actually encountered them. But George Adamski also had encountered these Nordic beings that he said were from Venus. And when I look at the pictures he had, these were predominantly blonde individuals, but they had on these blue suits. Each illustration I've seen of him that he gave of these Nordics, they're in these blue suits. Now, the beings I had interacted with, one of them, which was the charter, Alex, A-L-E-X, how he wanted it spelled. Go back on the channel, look at the charters videos, the charters 1 and 2. I talk about Alex and I talk about what I think they were, and that ship also. All right. Anyway, so to give a reference for that, this is the craft I'm talking about that looks similar to George Adamski's craft, and I say that because it's got the gyro balls under here. All right. The next thing is going to be the Alex representation and these Nordics I had encountered in childhood that bilocated me. That's Alex right there. That's my mom down here. That's another one on this channel. All right, you can check that out. But something to remember about this illustration right here is that ship was not the other one I just showed you. It was actually this one. And I saw this. That's the one that my mother on there are watching. That ship looked like this. That's a time ship. All right. Now that takes me into the similarities with George Adamski, that he saw a craft like that. But then I didn't put it together at first. So wait. Both these types of Nordics have on these blue suits. Now, I'm convinced that the ones I encountered with that ship were time travelers, because most of the ships I've been on board are organic in nature and they don't have windows. You may have a monitor or something, but they don't have windows. That craft appeared to have windows on the outside. Now, I've talked about this in other videos, so I'm not going to keep going over it. But anyway, so that makes me think that maybe when George Adamski says that these were humans from Venus, I think maybe they're time travelers from what's in the future, and then when we start colonizing Venus and Mars and terraforming them, that's what I think we may be dealing with here. And I've called the individuals I dealt with, I've called them historians, because if you look at that ship and the different windows on there, how do we know that all of them are humanoids on board if each one of those is an observation deck? Food for thought, all right? Anyway, that's a contrast and something that I resonated with George Adamski on that. So I think those are people from the future, not from Venus. Now, in contrast to an individual I have so much respect for, Dr. Delbert Blair, who interestingly enough seems to go mostly unknown in the UFO community and the New Age communities. They don't seem to acknowledge him much or know about him. Delbert Blair, when I first heard about him, it was back in the 90s, the late 90s, just around the OJ trial thing. I heard about him due to information I was hearing about Dr. Boyd Graves and his cure for AIDS, and also the Urugu book and some other things that were coming into my life at that time. So I heard about Dr. Blair in contrast with Boyd Graves and also Dr. Bernard King as well. But that was the elixirs he was making and some of the health things he was dealing with. I didn't know he was a contactee. I did not find that out until my good friend Florburn. A lot of people know who she is. She worked with Dr. Blair. She was a good friend of his. But she had told me he was a contactee, so I started looking more into that. Now, when I faced the man was absolutely brilliant. I advise anyone to look into the work he did or any of the stuff on YouTube that's him speaking. Anyway, he started talking about on one of these interviews, excuse me, that he was at a conference a very long time ago. And at this conference, it was over the George Adamski contacts. And at that conference, he was approached by two Alpha Centauri males that were melanin dominant that were at this conference. And they telepathically approached him, and he started dealing with him, and it was part of his contact experience. Now, the fact that happened to him in a George Adamski contact conference, and he was interested in that, and the fact that I have similarities to the Adamski thing, it really makes me wish, like Dale says, he would have loved to have met you. I would like to have got to converse with that man before he passed. Sadly, I'm behind on the time on that. But anyway, that's just something I wanted to make a contrast of, all right? What may be between just different experiences that I'm always looking for similarities, especially with somebody I respect the way I respect Dr. Blair. He was very, very much a genius. And George Adamski, I believe his contact, and when you go further back like that, there's several of them, too many things with the Adamski contact that are similar just to what I've experienced in one part of my contact experiences. So this is food for thought, if nothing else, not to upset anyone. Something real quick before I get down here. This one, this morphing UFO, this changed into what was that Merkaba. Okay, so this did not stay this. We're dealing with different beings than what Adamski was dealing with, a different type of multidimensionality. This thing completely changed into, I didn't pull that picture, but anyway, to the Merkaba, okay, the three Merkabas. You can go back on this channel and look at the organic morphing UFO. I really want to thank the people from Patreon that are still there with me. It is them that is the reason why I'm putting any videos on YouTube right now. They're the ones that are helping pay for it. Thank you very much. If you are on Patreon, please look at the channel. There's probably 6 more videos I put up recently, so you can see those, a couple of them. If you're already a member there, you may not have seen them. I'm not sure everybody's getting notified. Anyway, much love. Thank you. And please subscribe on Patreon, here on YouTube. You can email me at barrylittleton1313 at gmail.com. Peace.